Happy Monday. We do want to begin by acknowledging a few events. So today is Earth Day, a reminder for everyone to be more mindful of the environment and the planet. And Passover begins at sundown tonight. It reflects on the emancipation of the Israelites from slavery in Egypt. But as we know, many people are feeling the weight of the war in Gaza. So our thoughts are with all of them today.
And if you didn't know about Passover, really, it tells a story. And we actually read a book, and we tell the story of how the enslaved people became free. And it's a story of being forced into captivity and into springtime. And it's a beautiful story. And we actually are told to open the door, and we literally get up and open our door that anyone who needs can come in and eat with us. And I hope that spreads that message to those in the Middle East, that we open our doors instead of the bombs. That's what I hope.
Tori. Yeah. That is beautiful. Thank you. Okay, so here's something that I know has been like a debate almost for decades. We have a question for you. Is breastfeeding in public okay in 2024? So a comedian has opened up this debate after he reportedly kicked out a breastfeeding mom from his comedy show. Comedian Arj Barker was performing at a club in Australia when he noticed a mom breastfeeding her 7-month-old baby. He reportedly joked about taking the baby outside and eventually asked the mom to leave. He later told an Australian radio program the baby was disrupting his routine. Listen.
It wasn't easy because I knew it was really awkward for me, to be honest. I think I did the right thing, but it was a very difficult situation. But I think I would do it again.
The mom is speaking out too. She told an Australian news station the incident was humiliating. Watch.
The gist of it was that we were interrupting his rhythm. And that we should basically leave. Nobody wants to feel unwanted, and when you're getting basically booed out of a place, you definitely feel unwanted.
And correction, I know you know him, Al. His name is Arj. I believe I called him Arg, so I apologize for that.
It's a hard name to pronounce, A-R-J. But
But before we dive in, because I do want to separate this, these are two, in my opinion, two separate topics. Can you breastfeed anywhere? Can you take a baby to a concert, a comedy show, a bar? And then we'll get into the breastfeeding conversation in general, in public. So what do you think about this specific situation?
Well, I'm glad you took the time out to separate, because conflation is usually you read an article and you're like, a comic hated a baby. And that's not it. Probably there were two things going on, and we also saw it in her interview. The baby's very distracting. A concert, you got subwoofers, you got people screaming. There's a chance you won't really be affected by the baby. Comics sometimes get very quiet to make a point. You have to follow the words that they are saying in order to enjoy the show. If there is a distraction like there was in the interview that she gave, like 7-month-olds tend to do, it's not only affecting the comic, it's affecting the people around them. I don't know your situation, Erica, Tori, Jeff. That might be your only date night for this month. When you got 2-3 kids and you have to pay a sitter, when something takes away from that, almost negates your ticket that you paid, the comic is upset, it throws your rhythm off, and the people around you are upset, and the comic can feel that. So I think that's where Arj is coming from. I don't think he's anti-7-month-olds eating.
And just to be very clear, he made it clear he did not know she was breastfeeding at the time at all. And he has then said, I am very for breastfeeding in public. It's very natural. So that's important. All he saw was a squirming baby gurgling. I want to know what you think, Sam. What do you think about this? Because you have dealt with this.
Well, so first and foremost, his ticket did say 15 and over. I can only speak for myself. I would never bring a baby I've brought them to restaurants. I breastfed both of my children for 2 years. And in those situations, there's been many times where my child is kicking and screaming, never at a comedy show or a bar. That just didn't feel like the right place for me. Maybe at like 4 o'clock, if we're all there and it's outside and it's more like a beer garden, I'm totally down with that. But I'll just speak for someone who breastfed in public out of the sheer necessity because I'm on a walk with my child and then they start screaming because they're hungry, and then I will sit down and I'll put like a cover over me. And I'm not even suggesting women have to cover up, because that's not fun for the baby either when it's 95 degrees.
That's true.
But I would cover up because that made me more comfortable. I would get dirty looks from men and women constantly. Not all men and women, but the majority of men and women would give me dirty looks, especially because I breastfed for 2 years. So you don't have this little infant. You have a child that looks 1.5 years, and they would look at me very cross.
Wow.
And it sucks, because why can't we just focus more about being there for men and women. And I'm not going to say that this comedian was not there for this woman, because this woman, I don't think should have been at a comedy club that has a ticket that says 15 and over.
Right.
I don't think she should be at a concert. I think those are things that, you know, go to a daytime concert where you're sitting on a lawn then, in my opinion.
And Arj is famous, so these tickets weren't cheap.
Yeah, and I just want to say, some people say, there's a comment saying, I'm saying that breastfeeding babies shouldn't be taken to a public event where other attendees could reasonably expect not to be disturbed by a baby. I have no problem with breastfeeding in public at all. I'm very pro it, but I don't think it's appropriate at a comedy show, period.
Yeah. I don't want to pile on, on this woman, but I'm very empathetic. We went through our own difficult times and we couldn't necessarily breastfeed. But the point of the thing is you have to have some social awareness.
Yeah.
Just because you're offended by something doesn't mean that you're right. It's have some social awareness and worry about the other people that are at the show. They're young people that don't have children. It's their time to be out. Not saying you can't have a good time if you're a mother, but if you're going to bring a baby to a nighttime event and sit in the front row, now you're being selfish. Now that's on you. There's a man up there that's his career and job, and people are enjoying the night out. If you can't do it or you can't afford it or something, then you can't go. When you have children, there's certain limitations of things that you can and can't do. I still go and eat with my 5- and 7-year-old and wife at 3:30, 4 o'clock because I don't want to be there when the 5 o'clock rush comes and interrupt somebody else's dinner with my kids throwing crayons over the back seat. So it's just a little, again, I'm very empathetic, 7 months old. She might have something going on upstairs too, but come on, have a little social awareness.
And just interesting, a study in 2019 found that 25% of women found it inappropriate for a woman to nurse or use a pump in public. 22% of men. More
that
women
is so upsetting to me,
men.
you guys. You know what it is? People think you're doing it to be provocative. No, actually, my baby is kicking and screaming and they're hungry. I'm not doing it to be provocative. I'm uncomfortable too.
Of course.
So it's just, it's so weird how people sexualize it. It really is disgusting.
You don't even need to defend it.
I can't.
So
it's so backwards.